Have you ever done everything right? You listened. You were respectful. You answered her texts. You remembered the little things she told you. You never played games. And somehow, she looked you in the eyes and said the sentence that quietly destroys thousands of men every single day. You're such a nice guy. I just don't feel that spark. At first, it feels impossible to understand. How can kindness be a disadvantage? How can respect become something that kills attraction? Shouldn't being a good man make someone more attractive? That's what most people believe. But what if that question is built on the wrong assumption? Because after speaking with hundreds of women over several months, one pattern appeared again and again and again. Not a pickup trick, not a secret text message, not some manipulative psychological game. Something much deeper, something almost invisible, a difference so subtle that most men never notice it, yet powerful enough to completely change how people feel around you. And once you understand it, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Most men believe attraction begins with appearance. If they were taller, more muscular, wealthier, funny enough, confident enough, then women would naturally become interested. But reality doesn't always support that belief. We've all seen it. The average-looking guy dating an incredible woman, the quiet man everyone underestimated, who somehow became the one every woman wanted. Meanwhile, another man who seems to have everything still struggles to create genuine attraction. Why? Psychologists have studied attraction for decades, and one surprising finding continues to appear. People rarely become emotionally attached because of objective qualities alone. They become attached because of how another person makes them feel. Not what they own, not what they accomplish, not even what they say, but the emotional experience they create. That's where almost every dating strategy begins falling apart. Because most advice teaches men how to look attractive, instead of becoming someone whose presence naturally creates attraction. Those are two completely different things. Imagine two conversations. In the first, a man is constantly trying to impress. Every story highlights his success. Every joke is carefully timed. Every compliment is designed to increase his chances. Everything feels slightly calculated. Maybe she can't explain why. Maybe she even enjoys talking with him. But somewhere beneath conscious awareness, her brain notices something. He's trying to win approval, trying to get the right reaction, trying to become attractive. Now imagine another conversation. This man isn't cold. He isn't arrogant. He isn't pretending not to care. He's simply comfortable. Comfortable with silence. Comfortable if the conversation slows down. Comfortable if she agrees. Comfortable if she doesn't. He isn't performing. He's simply there. Listening because he's curious. Speaking because he has something genuine to say. Not because he's following some invisible script. Which conversation do you think feels different? Most people can sense it within minutes, and they often have no idea why. Researchers studying emotional perception have discovered something fascinating. Human beings constantly evaluate another person's internal emotional state without realizing it. Long before words are fully processed, our brains ask unconscious questions. Does this person feel secure? Do they need something from me? Can I relax around them? Are they emotionally stable? This process happens automatically, within seconds, and the answers influence attraction far more than rehearsed confidence ever could. That's why fake confidence rarely works for long. Eventually, the performance cracks, because emotional states leak through body language, voice tone, facial expressions, timing, and dozens of tiny behaviors we never consciously control. You can't consistently fake internal peace. People eventually feel what's underneath. This explains one of the biggest misunderstandings surrounding the so-called nice guy. Being kind isn't unattractive. Kindness has never been the problem. The problem appears when kindness becomes a negotiation. Think about it. How often have you seen someone constantly giving, hoping to receive something back? Buying expensive gifts, expecting affection, always agreeing, hoping she'll like them, ignoring their own needs, hoping loyalty will eventually become attraction. On the surface, it looks generous. Underneath, it's a silent transaction. I'm giving you this because I hope you'll finally choose me. Most people never say those words, but emotionally, that's exactly what's happening. And strangely enough, other people often sense it. Not consciously, instinctively. One psychologist described this beautifully. People don't connect with masks. They connect with authenticity. The moment someone feels they're interacting with a performance instead of a person, emotional distance quietly appears. This doesn't only happen in dating, It happens everywhere. At work, in friendships, in families. We naturally trust people who seem emotionally congruent, people whose actions match their inner state, people who aren't constantly calculating every move. Because authenticity feels safe, performance feels uncertain. Now here's something even more interesting. Many women describe attraction beginning, not during exciting moments, but during surprisingly ordinary ones. A quiet conversation, a peaceful walk, a simple dinner. Nothing dramatic happened, no grand romantic gesture, no expensive date, no impressive speech. Instead, something shifted inside the interaction itself. The man stopped trying to create an outcome, and suddenly, he became far more attractive. Because pressure disappeared. For the first time, she wasn't talking to someone trying to convince her. She was simply talking to someone who already felt complete. That emotional difference changes everything. Think about the people you naturally enjoy being around. Not necessarily the funniest, not necessarily the smartest, but the ones whose presence somehow makes you feel calmer. You don't feel judged. You don't feel evaluated. You don't feel like you have to perform. You simply relax. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional safety, and emotional safety is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean predictability. It doesn't mean friendship. It means something much deeper. It means your nervous system quietly deciding, I don't need to defend myself here. Ironically, that emotional relaxation often creates the exact conditions where deeper attraction begins. Not because safety alone creates desire, but because anxiety blocks it. Unfortunately, modern dating teaches the opposite. Play hard to get. Act mysterious. Wait 3 hours before replying. Pretend you're busier than you are. Never show too much interest. Create uncertainty. Some of these tactics may temporarily capture attention, but attention isn't attraction. Attention can come from confusion, from anxiety, from curiosity, from insecurity. Real attraction lasts because the person feels something fundamentally different around you. Not excitement mixed with fear, but curiosity mixed with trust. Here's another psychological principle almost nobody discusses. Human beings are incredibly sensitive to emotional dependence. The moment someone feels responsible for another person's self-worth, pressure appears. Imagine meeting someone who subtly communicates, "My happiness depends on whether you choose me." That's heavy, even if they never say it aloud. Now imagine meeting someone whose happiness already exists, someone who enjoys your company but doesn't emotionally collapse without it. That feels lighter, freer, more genuine. Ironically, people become more attractive when they stop asking other people to complete them. This doesn't mean becoming emotionally unavailable. It doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means caring without clinging, wanting connection without depending on it, being open without abandoning yourself. That's emotional maturity. And emotional maturity creates something extremely rare today: presence. Real presence. Not the fake version taught in dating books. The kind where someone feels, I have your attention, not because you're trying to impress me, but because you're actually here. That experience has become surprisingly uncommon, especially in a world where everyone's attention is constantly divided. Something fascinating happens when people stop chasing approval. Their entire body changes. Their breathing slows. Their voice becomes steadier. They stop interrupting silence. Eye contact becomes natural instead of forced. Smiles become genuine instead of strategic. Even rejection feels different, because rejection no longer threatens their identity. It simply communicates incompatibility, and that's a completely different emotional experience. Here's the strange paradox. The harder someone tries to become attractive, the less emotionally available they usually become, because their attention isn't actually on the other person. It's trapped inside their own performance. Did I say the right thing? Should I text tomorrow? Did she like that joke? Am I coming across as confident? Every question pulls attention inward. Meanwhile, the people who naturally create attraction are paying attention outward. They're curious, present, interested, not because they're trying to succeed, but because they genuinely want to understand another human being. And that difference is almost impossible to fake. Most men spend years learning how to attract women. Very few spend time becoming someone who no longer needs attraction to feel valuable. That distinction changes everything, because confidence built on success disappears when success disappears, but confidence built on self-acceptance remains, even after rejection, even after failure, even after disappointment. And people notice that stability, far more than they notice rehearsed charisma.